Well, there's this debate that the government should first of all encourage domestic investors before going after foreign investors. What's your take on this?
Good statement. Like my colleague mentioned earlier, what are the policies in place to encourage local businessmen? You see, in the West, if you want to go into business, there are mechanisms in place that actually guide you. You have in the position of various NGOs, okay, who actually partners with the government, who actually take you through. Because I always say this, it is not everybody's business to go into business. You need to have the know-how and the reason why you want to go into business. Now, in this country, if you really need to encourage people, the local, which is the micro sector of the economy, you really need to put some policies in place on how to guide them. The last time I spoke about credit facilities, how to make that available for local investors or local businessmen and women on how to access them, perhaps with a very low interest rate. Okay, that is not there. We have the microfinance banks, which fundamentally they're meant to provide the services to local. But this day, that's not. That has been changed because it's not being really regulated. Because now they're even making more money than the commercial banks. So you can't even have direct access to them to actually solve your own commercial or business issues. Now, also, there are other policies like regulations. Okay. Now, if I am a small businessman, and you're a big business, and I transfer business with you, and you are owing me money. If you don't pay my money on time, there's every tendency that I'm going to go down, right? There are no law in place, or maybe there are law in place, but it's not been effective. Okay? In the UK, for example, if you owe me any money and you don't want to pay me, I don't have to bite you or fight you or anything. I walk into a local county court, pick up a form, pay a token fee, fill in the information in there, submit it to the form to the courts, to the county court. In the next maximum 3 weeks, right? I must have result back because they will come to you and tell you you're owing this XYZ. If you don't pay that money, we will come after you. At the end of that three weeks, if you don't pay that money or say to that person you're owing, the bailiffs will come and clean you up. So you are being protected. That you're not going to, someone else, because you're bigger than I, you're not going to shortchange me because...
So we need to have something as, just like what you've just described in our own system as well to protect the...
To protect the local investors. Yeah, because it could happen if that is not in place. I mean, local versus local could shortchange themselves. And of course, when the foreign investors comes in as well, they could play on them. They would do the same thing because those judicial or legislative policies are not in place. So the government needs to look into that as well on how to protect the local investors as well.
Dr. I, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think he has said it all about policy, the policy support for local investors, small and medium scale enterprises.
But is it just the policies that we should be looking at?
Basically, government has to show commitment. Okay, by setting the right policies and enforcing those policies. Okay, policy making is one thing. Enforcement of those policies is a different thing altogether. So if the policies are not enforced, if regulations are not enforced, it's still as good as they are not there. So I think that is the biggest problem our local businesses are facing. And then he has highlighted the issue of lack of credit. Poor access to credit. That has been the burn of businesses in Nigeria.
But at least in the last couple of quarters, as in yes, in the last quarter and now, finance to most of those businesses has kind of improved because there's been a lot of subventions going into key sectors.
How do you? It's not about what government says. Okay, let us look at the experience of business people. Okay, we interact with business people on a daily basis at the Lagos Business School. They will always tell you that if you try to get something like a credit facility, even from the Bank of Industry or Bank of Agriculture, if they begin to narrate the ordeal, what they go through, filling all the papers, and eventually they end up not getting it. And in fact, the truth of the matter is that it's foreigners that end up benefiting from the incentives that should apply to our local businesses.
How so? If if the incentives are meant for domestic investors, why would it be the foreign investors who would gain from it more?
Okay, I'm going to give you some examples. I mean, if you go around this country, you notice that foreigners are all over the place, even exporting our products. I don't know how many countries you go to in the world. I'm not saying that we should start to regulate unnecessarily or inhibit foreign enterprises operating in Nigeria. But if you go to China, I'm not sure you become an exporter in China. I mean, an exporter of Chinese products when you are not Chinese. But if you go here, everywhere in Nigeria, you see our commodities being exported by Indians.
So that means there's no effective FDI monitoring mechanism.
Hold on, because they have volume. They can meet all the eligibility conditions to attract government support, and they get it. A lot of people have been expressing this concern.
So is it that we don't have an effective foreign direct investment monitoring mechanism?
I don't know if that is the way to put it, but the issue is that government has not shown commitment towards growing the local industry. They are not even being protected. And that is the reason why you have this kind of lopsided investment in certain sectors, because foreigners want to make sure that their business interests are protected. So they will only invest in those high-yielding sectors. Okay, so where they know that they are highly protected, anyway, however it goes, they're going to get back their money. Okay, so and that is why the benefit is not trickle down. We don't have that trickle down effect in the economy. Okay, unemployment is still very, very high. 23%, I think, is actually an underestimate, because last month or so, I mean last week or so, immigration advertised for jobs. About 6 million Nigerians applied. I don't know how many positions. So if that is anything to go by, you should get some idea about the level of unemployment in the system right now.
Okay, you talked about exporting. Now, we know that we have some exporting processing zones around clusters in Nigeria. Does the NEPZA, that's the Nigeria Export Processing Zones Authority, have they any role to play, you know, for instance, in attracting foreign direct investment, even though it now seems as if it's more, not so much to our, well, so much to our detriment than to encourage the growth that we're desperately looking for?
I don't know if you have anything to say, but if you go to those NEPZA, the export processing zones, I don't know how many businesses operate there right now. Okay,
whether foreign or domestic.
Whether foreign or domestic.